So then, Rick, would you be able to tell us what types of documentation and what documents are really required for the CMMC?
Yeah, love to do that, Maddie. There are a number of documents that are required by the DoD, whether it is the NIST 800-171 or the CMMC. One of the key documents is the System Security Plan, the SSP. That document is what describes what controls we have in place and how are we meeting these particular controls or practices for the DoD requirements. Along with that is what we call a POAM, the Plan of Action and Milestone documents. That would be those items or those practices or controls that we currently don't have in place, but we will have them in place in some time in the future. So that would be one of the first documents you'd want to have, followed by policies. Policies are important. There are 14 families or 14 domains for the CMMC and NIST, making up the 110 controls. And the way we have it configured, and many people have it configured, is they have a policy per family of controls. So there's a minimum of 14 policies that they would have. Anything from access control policy, which would help define who has permissions to access your system, who both internally and remote access to your system. There is an identification and authentication policy talking about the authentication, who has privileges to access our system. And then you have maintenance policies, which dictate, or explain how do we keep our organizational system, our network up to spec. How do we, handle our patching of our products, or staying current with, our antivirus, or those type of things. And then there's always that configuration management policy, kind of mentioning a few of these policies, which tell us how we establish baselines for things like hardware or software within the organization, putting that baseline. So those are a couple of the policies, examples for us. So we move from policies to procedures. There's a number of procedures that you would have. Once again, they can be written, or they can be a form of some type. Some of those procedures might be your risk management procedure. How do we handle risks within the organization that relate to security? Any kind of a breach or a change in our environment, is there a risk to making that change? Also, we have an incident response. If we have an incident, how do we respond to that? Who do we talk to? Who do we contact? Procedures dealing with change management. It's important to identify how our changes created or done or implemented within an organization. So we want to make sure that everybody is aware if a change happens, that you're not surprised. And it could, once again, lead to a risk management, determining if I make this change, what's my risk associated with it. So some of these procedures kind of link together as you go through here. Another set of documents that are really important, one of the first documents that you'll be asked in a readiness review, and we'll talk about that later, would be your network diagram. They want to know what is in scope and what's out of scope in your network. So a network diagram helps you identify those boundaries, where your CUI resides, how it flows through your organization, who has access to it. Part of that then it flows right into the data flow diagram, showing us within a network, how does CUI flow within my organization? Who has access to that CUI? And where does it reside? Where does it rest? and those type of things. So those two are really important documents. So we can move on then to records. Once again, records are really important in this whole process. They provide evidence that we are meeting the requirements, that we are actually doing what we say we're going to do. Records, some of the records might be security logs, or they might be server logs, they might be access logs, whatever we're doing, maintaining within our network, and even with our physical facility, maintaining those logs as well. So we need to keep records of logs, would be one example there. Also our maintenance, we talked about maintenance policies, maintaining records showing that we are keeping things up to date, that patches are current, antivirus definitions are up to date, and so forth. So once again, we're keeping records, we're keeping documents, showing that evidence that we're meeting those particular controls that have been outlined by the DoD. So those are just a few of the documents there that are important to us, that we need to maintain as we want to strive for compliance to both the NIST 800-171 and the CMMC.
Thank you for watching this video to the end. This is part of a longer series on DFARS, NIST, and CMMC compliance produced by Core Business Solutions. Please subscribe to this channel, like this video with a thumbs up, and click the bell to get notified when we drop a new video. Also, we'd appreciate it if you would share this video with your colleagues who need to stay up to speed on DFARS, NIST, and CMMC. Thank you, and we'll see you again in the next video.